from the Lakeside Newsroom of the Henrico Citizen, your hometown news source since 2001. This is the Henrico News Minute with publisher Tom Lapis.
Good news on the economic front in Henrico. An update from the General Assembly's special session, and Henrico citizens weigh in on a civilian review board. Stay tuned for details about those stories and more in today's Henrico News Minute for Friday, August 21st, 2020. It's brought to you today by the Lakeside Farmers Market.
And now for the news.
Brookland District Supervisor Dan Schmitt heard verbally from 28 county residents and in written form from about a dozen others during an 80-minute online constituent meeting Thursday night about the potential creation of a civilian review board for the Henrico Division of Police. The county's Board of Supervisors will meet on Monday at 5:15 to discuss the matter in detail for the first time and hear more input from citizens. The initiative was proposed by Varina District Supervisor Tyrone Nelson at the end of June. Among those who spoke during Schmitt's meeting last night, 18 expressed support for the creation of a CRB, 5 said they didn't think that a board would be necessary, and 5 others didn't take an obvious stance either way, but called in to provide advice about how such a board should look if it is created. The county also received about 700 comments by email about the proposal during a 5-week period from late June through the end of July. Individual supervisors also have received feedback in a variety of forms. A number of those who expressed support for a CRB during last night's meeting said that while their experiences with police have been good, they understood that others may have had different experiences. Said one caller, quote, "A whole section of the public doesn't feel that it can call the police now," end quote. He suggested that creation of a CRB would help restore trust in the force for those who don't trust it now. Henrico NAACP President Ray Beasley called in to tell Schmitt that most of the black community is in unanimous support of such a board. Beasley said, quote, "I hope people understand that a citizen review board is not an attack against the department, but it is an opportunity for the community to work with government to make sure that what's being done is being done properly," end quote. Those who said they opposed a civilian review board cited their own positive experiences with officers and the division's stellar local and national reputation as evidence that one is not necessary. Said one man, quote, "We do not need it in Henrico County. Henrico County runs great," end quote. Another woman said, quote, "I've never seen or heard anything on the news that people were abused by the police or they were stopped 20 times or anything like that. I just don't understand where this is coming from," end quote. You can read my complete wrap-up of last night's meeting at henricocitizen.com right now by clicking on Government. First-time unemployment filings in Henrico County dropped slightly during the most recent reporting week to just 370, another post-pandemic low, according to data released yesterday by the Virginia Employment Commission. It was the third straight week of decline, following 3 straight weeks of increases. Initial filings each of the past 3 weeks on record, 666, 379, and now 370, were lower than any other single week since the pandemic began in mid-March. The county's weekly total fell during the week ending August 15th, even as the overall total of first-time filers statewide rose by 14.2%, according to the VEC. Henrico ranked 8th statewide in the number of filers during the most recent week and also ranks 8th overall in total number of first-time filers since the pandemic began, with 38,680. That's just behind Chesterfield County, which is 7th. Richmond is 4th with nearly 46,000. The number of Henrico residents who have filed initial unemployment claims at some point in recent months who are still filing continuing claims fell for a 6th consecutive week, all the way down to 10,846 now. That's the lowest that total has been since mid-April, and it indicates that a number of those who were unemployed likely are now back at work. Yesterday in Richmond, the Senate Judiciary Committee passed several criminal justice reform bills during the special session of the Virginia General Assembly. One would require all law enforcement officers to complete crisis intervention team training as part of compulsory training standards. Advanced training would be provided to a CIT team, but methods as simple as first aid training would be provided to officers who are not on CIT teams. The committee approved that bill unanimously. Another measure passed by a 9-4 vote and advanced to the Finance Committee. It would allow defendants to request sentencing by a judge rather than a jury. Virginia is one of just 6 states that do not currently allow that. The committee also passed a bill that would allow localities to establish civilian review boards for police that would have significant freedom to examine and investigate claims of misconduct against police officers. That bill passed by an 8-6 margin. Under current law, the power of those boards is somewhat limited because police departments have significant control of information that can be released to them. And the committee also considered a bill that would establish a crisis response team to respond alongside police officers in cases like that of Marcus David Peters, a man who was shot and killed by police after apparently suffering a mental episode in 2018 near I-95. The bill is known in Richmond as a Marcus Alert. It was referred to the Senate Finance Committee, which will make the final decision about whether to make it a mandate statewide or not if it is approved. You can read more from yesterday's special session in the General Assembly at henricocitizen.com by clicking on Government. Henrico School Board member Alicia Atkins of the Varina District and Superintendent Amy Cashwell last night answered a range of parent and provider questions during a virtual meeting from Varina High School. Varina District Supervisor Tyrone Nelson also provided details about school construction plans and a plan for child care assistance. County has set aside $2.5 million from the CARES Act to support child care for employees and citizens at large this fall. That money will be used to lower the cost of full-day child care that will be provided in Henrico Public Schools by the YMCA, the Henrico Police Athletic League, and the Henrico Education Foundation. Nelson said last night that Henrico officials have earmarked $500,000 of that money for low-income families who may not be able to afford even the reduced rates. Citizens who are interested should reach out to the organizations directly. Cashwell and Atkins also answered questions about technology issues and what the return to school will look like. You can read our complete coverage on henricocitizen.com by clicking on Education. The Children's Museum of Richmond will permanently close its location at Short Pump Town Center by the end of the month, according to organization officials who made the announcement yesterday. Seymour's executive director Danielle Ripperton said it was a very difficult decision, but added, quote, "It is a financial reality we face during this ongoing pandemic," end quote. Short Pump's exhibits will be transferred to other Seymour locations. Its part-time employees were laid off in mid-March, and its manager has taken another position within the organization. Earlier in the year, the museum closed its Fredericksburg location permanently. It does still plan to operate a Chesterfield location in addition to its flagship location in downtown Richmond. Some more good news on the COVID front as Henrico County's 7-day positivity percentage has decreased almost a full percentage point, dropping from 7.1% August 15th to 6.3% August 16th. That's the most recent date for which the data is available from the Virginia Department of Health. The figure is expected to continue decreasing as new COVID-19 cases are down in the county. Henrico also passed the 70,000 mark for PCR testing. Those tests detect the active presence of the virus. In total, the VDH reported just 22 new cases of the virus yesterday in Henrico County, as well as one hospitalization and the death of a person in their 70s attributed to the virus. We can bring new or gently worn shoes of any kind to the Dorey Park Farmers Market tomorrow from 9 a.m. to noon. The nonprofit Souls for Souls will host a shoe drive there. Donated shoes will be distributed to the organization's micro-enterprise programs that create jobs in Haiti, Honduras, and other developing nations. We take a look at the latest Virginia Department of Health inspection reports for local Henrico restaurants. That is currently online right now for the previous week. You can check it out by clicking on Dining. Today's Henrico News Minute has been brought to you by the Lakeside Farmers Market. Be sure to stop by tomorrow and check them out between 9 a.m. and noon at 6110 Lakeside Avenue. Rain or shine, you can visit under the pavilion. For details, visit facebook.com/Lakeside Market RVA.